So as we already looked at, in the immediate aftermath of the testimony this week from Cassidy Hutchinson before the January 6th committee, like in the hour right after it, Fox News was completely in shambles. Awkward silences, Brett Baer having no choice but to concede this is some of the most jaw-dropping testimony since Watergate. They didn't know, how do we downplay this? How do we manage this? By the time the nighttime came during the so-called opinion programming, they had a strategy. And the strategy is smear campaign against Cassidy Hutchinson. Cassidy Hutchinson, who has really nothing to gain from doing this other than certainly receiving death threats, which I'm sure she started to receive by now, and hoping to avoid legal jeopardy, which is why I imagine someone of her position would say, yeah, I'll show up and tell the truth as I recall it. The smear campaign starts immediately. First and foremost, they start accusing Hutchinson of lying, just making it up for personal gain. How would that benefit her? Okay, let's listen.
I served with both Bobby and Tony. They are career civil service agents. They're former military. They embody what career government officials should be. I would take their word over any word of this junior staffer who is completely, I believe, lying to the January 6th committee for her own self-gain. Bobby and Tony.
So first of all, Bobby and Tony are not under oath. Cassidy Hutchinson is under oath. If we put them under oath and they have a conflicting account, now we'll have something to evaluate. For the time being, we have Cassidy Hutchinson under oath, needing security now, receiving threats now, getting doxxed, etc., under oath. And we have Trump posting on Truth Social, and we have media reports of two Secret Service agents allegedly claiming that if they testified under oath, they would have something different to say. But they want to say she's just making it all up.
Acted appropriately every single time I traveled with the president, over 40 separate trips with those two individuals. I would love to hear them contradict this lie with the truth. But I'm a little different on this one. Bobby and Tony need to continue to serve America. We don't need to put them on full blast.
Okay. So they're busy doing work. So even though they would say something different under oath, we shouldn't actually bring them in to testify. So the weakest possible attempt at smearing her. Then we go to Laura Ingraham. Laura Ingraham has Stephen Miller on, and Miller goes, she was such a low-level aide. But that doesn't really contradict the subject matter or the substance of what she says. She could be a low-level aide or not and still have seen the things she says she saw.
Even reach that way to get, I couldn't remember, but it seemed the whole story seemed ridiculous. But you knew Cassidy Hutchinson. What kind of I've met her a few times, but I didn't really have much contact. What kind of person is she?
She's an extremely junior, low-level aide. I don't think I ever had a conversation with her that I can at least recall of any substance or depth. But to Molly's point, this is a
and remember, the fact that Stephen Miller didn't have deep conversations with Cassidy Hutchinson doesn't mean she's not telling the truth.
Test for your sanity. If you heard this story and you thought, man, I believe every word of this, I'm going to go online and say something about it energetically. Something is wrong with you. Something is wrong with you.
Right. If you believe she might be telling the truth, you're the crazy person. Instead, you should believe Stephen Miller and Laura Ingraham. Ingraham, who, by the way, was quite literally texting Mark Meadows about the riots, saying one thing, and then went on TV that night and said a completely different thing, running interference, saying it could have been the feds, it could have been Antifa, it could have been, this certainly wasn't Trumpist or anything like that. She wants us to believe her view about Cassidy Hutchinson when she was implicated in trying to manage the media coverage of those very same riots. And then Ingraham continues, saying that the entire testimony seemed like an audition for The View.
Do you notice she kept saying something to that effect? She kept couching everything she said. A lot of it was hearsay, obviously not admissible in any kind of real court. But she kept saying something to that effect, whether it was about Trump's reaction to Pence and the hanging chant or what. But I found it was like she was auditioning for a seat of The View.
Now, the fact that she would say something to the effect of, to me, doesn't really raise any red flags. I mean, it seems natural if you're under oath and you're not quoting something verbatim that you would use that phrase. Just think about an instance in your mind. If I think back, this is just something so banal, right? Let's think back to when I had a chipped tooth repaired a year and a half ago at my dentist. Okay. I remember it vividly. It's not every day that I chip a tooth and it's not every day that I get the tooth repaired. So I generally remember the experience. If you said to me, What exactly did your dentist say about what probably caused it? I wouldn't be able to quote my dentist. So if I were under oath, I would go, listen, my dentist said something to the effect of my bite and potentially grinding my teeth at night led to the chip. It's accurate. That was that was the gist of what was said. It's completely representative of my dentist's view. But I don't remember the words that were used. It was a year and a half ago. So I would naturally say something like, well, the dentist made me understand that this was the cause. The dentist said something to the effect of. The fact that Cassidy Hutchinson is using that term does not, to me, raise any red flags. Now, she may just not be telling the truth. But right now, we don't have any contradictory claims under oath. Put someone under oath and let's get some contradictory claims. Okay, then Hannity. What was the next one here? Oh, no. Ingram also spoke to other people about Cassidy Hutchinson.
Now, the first attempted distraction or shiny object, a former aide to Mark Meadows, Cassidy Hutchinson, was slotted into what was billed as a special, super duper special session of the January 6th committee today. And I spoke with some former White House staffers, 3 or 4 of them, in the afternoon, and they knew her well. And not one person had anything good to say about her performance today.
Well, why does it matter why extremely biased people with a vested interest in minimizing the insanity of what happened think about her performance? Why does that matter? The question is, did what she say line up with other testimony? The answer is yes. Did what she say get contradicted by anyone else testifying under oath? The answer is no. And is she in any way likely to benefit from this? Or is she actually exposing herself both to legal jeopardy and to death threats and to needing security and to being doxxed? And the answer is yes, of course it does. Sean Hannity jumping in and participating on this as well. He jumped on the word hearsay. Hearsay has become a big focal point of yesterday's testimony.
Today we heard more rumors, a ton of hearsay, and wow, a lot of impeached testimony that we'll get to in a second. And this is why hearsay is never admissible in a real court of law, including this wild claim from a former low-level White House staffer. Watch this.
Yeah. So then he goes on to play the testimony. So the entire hearsay thing, all right, there are so 2 things on that. First of all, the fact that Cassidy Hutchinson is recalling what others said does not really change our understanding of it in a congressional hearing. It is true that there are restrictions on what hearsay is admissible in courts of law. We're not even talking about crimes here yet. So why they continue to talk about hearsay? Well, we know why, because other people hear it and they go, it was hearsay. So wait, but does hearsay mean it was false? Does hearsay mean that she's making it up? No, hearsay relates to courts of law. This is not a court of law. But I want to go beyond that. There are 30 exceptions to hearsay not being admissible in courts of law. Oftentimes, hearsay is admissible in a court of law. There's the present sense impression exception. This is a hearsay statement which could be allowed if it describes or explains something that happened based on something said by someone right after it happened. So when she says, hey, this is what Mark Meadows said right as they were chanting, hang Mike Pence, I'm not saying it would be allowed in a court of law, but there is a present sense impression exception to hearsay restrictions in courts of law, which sometimes can be argued for. There's what's called the excited utterance exception. If you were somewhere and someone made an excited utterance, it happened close to whatever it was they were reacting to. It was sort of like a visceral reaction. It was it almost even startled it just came out of the person making the claim. That can be admissible because it was an excited utterance, and it may not even be something the person who made the utterance would remember. Imagine that imagine that an explosion happens right in front of you. That's such an unusual thing. I might go, oh, look at this. I knew this was happening. This was my cousin Joe. I knew he was going to do. I might not even remember that, but a court might say to someone who heard me make that excited utterance, we're going to allow that, even though it's hearsay, under the excited utterance exception. The point here is this attack on everything as hearsay as if it's some open and shut thing. Well, it's hearsay. It wouldn't be allowed in a court, and therefore it can't even be believed in this setting. It's BS, and it's a scripted and coordinated attack. Last thing, Mark Levin on Fox News just completely losing it and demanding that news networks fire their legal analysts for not properly attacking the entire January 6th committee proceedings.
You also do not participate in a transition period and order the Department of Defense to work with the Biden people.
Easy, buddy.
They have no evidence for any. This committee's come up with nothing, despite the fact it's all one way. And I want to encourage networks all over the country, who I'm sure will listen to me, fire your legal analysts. Fire them. There's too damn many former federal prosecutors. This isn't about a federal prosecution. These legal guys, they keep coming on. They know nothing about the Constitution. A president, a candidate, has the right to lobby the state legislature if he or she believes that the electors should be for them.
Just because he's yelling doesn't make it true. Mark Levin should try decaf, and he is just furious that not every legal analyst is saying it's all lies and it's all imprison the people doing the investigation. Mark Levin isn't happy. So that's the totality of the smear campaign that Fox and the right wing put together in just a few hours after Cassidy Hutchinson's testimony. One of our sponsors today is Blue Chew, a unique online service delivering the same active ingredients as Viagra and Cialis in a chewable form and at a fraction of the cost. And they're giving my audience an entire month's supply for free. So if you think you could benefit from an extra boost of confidence when it's time, all you have to do is take a short quiz on their website. A licensed doctor approves your prescription. The medication comes straight to your home within days in a discreet package. No driving around to the doctor's office or the pharmacy. No waiting around. No awkward conversations with your doctor. All of Blue Chew's tablets are made in the USA. The entire process is just a few clicks. Go to bluechew.com. The link is underneath this video. They'll give you an entire month's supply for free when you use the promo code PACMAN. All you have to do is pay $5 shipping.